Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 141 of Speaking from the Heart. And I've been waiting for this episode for a very long time to talk about with you separately as a monologue, because I have been really digging into this conversation about social media, not only in other conversations that we've had on monologues, but also with guests for that matter, and how divisive social media has been to really push us off the edge. It's made us horrible people to the point that we are having no common sense, no decent respect for the human race, no ability for us to have polar opposite viewpoints and be able to share what is on our heart. The very essence of why we even started this conversation in the first place. But yet, when I think about all the people that have struggled and have even walked away from social media because they have been hurt, they have been seeing the damage that has been caused by other people, but even more importantly, the true ramifications of our physical and mental health combined with all the other areas in which it has been really painful for us to see, has really truly gotten us into big problems. It's gotten us into things that maybe we should reevaluate, not by law, but by being humans, by its very nature, being able to understand that we can change the viewpoint that we have, while at the same time, understand that we don't have to live that kind of life anymore. The realm of technology in which we've seen social media explode since the early 2000s has been radical. And it isn't just because of the advent of the popularity of the internet, but even because of the things that we've been able to advance. And we've even talked about in this show, especially as it relates to artificial intelligence, better known as AI. It has made such a huge difference in us being able to communicate across long distances. It has even made some industries obsolete. Even mail processing facilities have completely evolved into more of a package distribution, being able to send physical goods instead of physical letters, which we used to be able to use back in the day, which, for my Gen Zers, that involved a pen, a piece of paper, and lines on it so that we would be able to guide what we were writing. And for some of my older folks, I know. I'm a millennial, and I've written a few of those letters myself in that format. We have forgotten the lost art of just understanding why sharing on social media can also mean caring as well. Because when we look at the sharing is caring phrase, we're not just understanding that we want to connect with other people, we want to associate with them. We want to feel a connection beyond any kind of connection that we normally wouldn't have unless we were meeting with them in person. This episode is dedicated to all the people that have ever been shamed or hurt or even thrown under the bus in any social media post, even feeling neglected for that matter. And just seeing that maybe it might be a time to have a coalition of all these different people that have ever felt that way to be able to change the status quo of what social media is all about. Can we use our care, our empathy, our compassion to serve others, not just on a micro level, but also a macro level, a global change in which we hold more conversations about the most important subjects and not be pulling each other down into the abyss or even into hell for that matter, so that we're able to challenge not each other, but be able to have a healthy dialogue that challenges our thinking inside of ourselves. What do we do? Even as individuals, how can we change this dialogue? Because I know what I'm going to hear, all the conversations about, well, social media companies are the ones that really need to change. Facebook, Google, X, all of those need to be the ones that change. And even now, over the last few months, with the change of even TikTok for that matter, it starts to re-examine the ways in which we need to understand how we can communicate more effectively when it comes to caring about others. So I have a couple of viewpoints that I want to share with you today that can't be their own little episode, but I want to throw into this as one big compendium of things that we can do to change our minds about how we use social media, especially when it comes to the context of sharing is caring. Now, first off, we need to take a step back and even just look at ourselves for a second. If you're a type of person that doesn't feel compassionate or feels like they care about others in the way in which they should be caring, that's one thing that you need to work on. If you keep on saying to yourself that you need to do better, that you need to keep growing, that you need to keep on pushing yourself into the positive direction that you need to go, well, then you're doing the right things because you're taking those viewpoints from everybody else and you're being able to incorporate that into yourself. You are a work in progress, which is something that oftentimes gets missed in the bigger scheme of understanding how we can create that value amongst each other. But most people might be thinking, I don't think I have any problem. But yet they continuously hurt others by the words that they use, the things that they say they're going to do, but they never do. And not my favorite, they attack, interrogate, and antagonize all the people that are trying to put good into the world. Those are the people that need to hear this message more than anything else. But of course they're not reading books. Of course they're not digesting podcasts. Of course they're not talking to people which they need to surround themselves with to make themselves feel better about the viewpoints that they need to hear. It can be challenging to be able to share a different viewpoint. That means that we actually have to go out of our way to be able to learn something new. So my challenge today is that you need to start looking outside the circle that you're in. Whether you're Republican, whether you're Democrat, whether you're Libertarian, whether you're Green, regardless of your party affiliation, swallow your pride and listen to another viewpoint and start to understand the perspective that they bring. It doesn't mean that you have to agree to it, but it means that you have to learn what are some of the standing points that might be the reason why they view the things that they do the way they do. That is the basis for some of the things that I even want to share now. Really, the next thing that I want to talk about when it comes to social media is just respecting what other people have to say. Just as simple as that. It doesn't mean that when you see something that you absolutely disagree with, that you have to argue 3 to 5 counterpoints as to why it's wrong. All you have to do is use your scroll key, whether that's your thumb or if you're on a desktop computer, the scroll button that's on your mouse, and move along. I think that we've even have forgotten that sometimes the best way in which we can handle these sort of situations is to just move on. Especially for some people that are not able to process new ideas and they have completely shut themselves off from being able to absorb or learn new material for that matter, will never be able to understand the viewpoint that you're trying to share. And sometimes it's clearly shown from some of the things that I've even seen on social media, which includes some of the most disgusting photos and some of the most disgusting language that I have ever seen in my entire life. It would even make my grandmother blush, who doesn't use social media, by the way. So I think that we need to understand that if you are embarrassed by what things are being said and yet you want to try to challenge it, now who is the fool? You or them? Use this ability to move on and not even deal with the problem that they're trying to face. Sometimes the things that you need to say don't even need to be said. And even if you have a viewpoint, which leads me into my next conversation aspect of this, even if you have a viewpoint that you want to share, understand that for some people you have to break it down. It means not necessarily assuming what they understand, but even just having a message privately, offline, that allows you to have that conversation with someone can make such a big difference. That means actually getting to know a person's background, what kind of education they have, what kind of family dynamic they have, all kinds of other things so that we are able to understand them better. Now, before you go on and say that I'm asking you to do that for every single person that you interact with, you're wrong. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is you need to be able to understand what that person is coming from in terms of their viewpoint. In other words, you need to share not only what they have going on in their life with you, but you also need to return the favor and give them the information that they're seeking. But it doesn't mean that I'm asking you to expose your true heart, let alone even expose yourself for that matter, opening up the floodgates of being hurt, to being shamed, and even the worst thing that I could ever imagine, being physically assaulted or even violently hurt because they find out where you live and they start to antagonize you. They start to embarrass you. They start to do things that are necessarily bad. So I'm not asking you today to have conversations with complete strangers. I'm asking you to have conversations with complete strangers with care, with professionalism, with understanding that you are interacting with someone that has thoughts, feelings, and emotions, not somebody that is just a robot talking behind a keyboard. Because we often forget that there's a face behind that picture, somebody that is actually identifying with what you're trying to say. One of the last things I'll even mention about social media and how you can use it to your advantage for the positive aspects of it is to learn how to digest some of the things that are being said. What I mean by that is, if you don't understand a term, the subject that's being discussed, or even the things that are being shared, don't even bother trying to engage in the conversation. You're only going to get people mad. They're going to come after you because you're not informed about the subject, which leads me back to a previous point I've already made. If you're not even understanding who the person is that you're talking to and you're making stereotypical decisions about them, what makes you think that you're a credible source to talk about a subject matter in which you might have never even heard of before, but yet you want to put your own 2 cents in? That's like me, as a coach, trying to start a business about public speaking amongst other subjects and saying that I'm an authority when I have nothing to back it up. If I had not done Toastmasters, if I have not worked for state government, if I had not gotten the education that I had, I would have never even considered opening a coaching business, let alone even working with clients for that matter. I would be considered a fraud. And that's exactly what you're doing every time that you open your mouth on social media and think that you have a well-informed opinion, when in reality, you never even bothered to understand the subject matter and what the details are behind it. That is just opening yourself up to not only a can of worms, to not only the problems that are associated with that, but also all the feedback that you're going to receive that is not so good in nature. Now, all these things about social media have been things that we've even challenged on this show about the importance of understanding not only the perspectives that we bring, the mindset, if you will, of the different individuals that we work with and the businesses that we partake in, but it means that we are showing how we can care, how we can empathize, how we can serve with compassion, and how we can have conversations with purpose. All those things, even the tips that I've shared today, can help you to jumpstart a conversation that is a lot more positive and a lot more fulfilling, instead of just being a keyboard warrior or even digesting videos and audio of people that have no business of sharing what they need to share. But there's one more thing that I think is really important before we even end on this subject that I want to share with you all. And it's about how you can be the change that this world needs. Not only to share more positively, but to care with more compassion. I've had people, since I've opened this business, criticize me, not only in front of others, but also privately as well. I've had a number of different instances. People telling me that I'm not a good coach, people that say that I'm not qualified to be running this business, people telling me that I should get out of it, people that have even said that I am not even worth the time or the money that they would need to invest. And those have been horrible, disgusting things that have been said to me. And whether those were really meant to be said because they were just literally typing it on a keyboard, or whether they were passively just putting that down just so that they could get it off their chest so they can attack somebody, words hurt. And for a long time, I let those words bother me. I let that really get to the core of whether I was really making the right decision. And then I realized one thing is that there's a lot of hurt in this world, and there's a lot of people seeking attention. They're trying to figure out where their place is. And sometimes social media is used in a way that allows them to feel like they are confidants. They are the change makers that are necessary to make the world a better place. But in reality, they are not. Whether you're ignoring me, criticizing me, putting me down, those are the feelings that maybe all of you have felt one way or another, especially as it relates to social media. But it doesn't give anybody the opportunity to treat anyone that way. We are all human. We have a heart in which we really do care, and we want to share it with so many people. But yet when we continuously put each other down, of course we're going to feel neglected. We're going to feel dejected. We're going to feel as if we have been lost in this ever-changing world. But I want to give you hope today that it's okay to share what's on your heart, especially when it comes to social media, because I think we all are entitled to our opinion. But if we can have respect, if we can have a more conscious dialogue in which we are researching, understanding, communicating in a positive, more constructive way, that is what will make the world a better place. That is what will change the dynamics of all the things that we would ever do in our entire lives. And all we have to do is just pause, reflect, and think about what we can do to be better overall. I'm not saying today that you have the free ticket to hurt other people, but I'm also saying that you shouldn't hurt people just because of what they have in terms of their viewpoints. Even if they're the most hated things, we can be better people because we are all sharing this carefully designed world of social media in ways that will help us in so many different aspects. All we have to do, though, is understand that with purpose, we can be better people. And with conviction, we can have a better, caring conversation with others. But we got to listen to each other to not only grow, but to learn as well. Thanks for listening to episode number 141 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.